Hey Luke,
Yeah,
do you know The Majority Report by Sam Sater?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Well, I thought that instead of doing The Minority Report, we were doing The Majority Report, and it sounded much less rehearsed the first time I said it, but then we weren't recording, so
That's
so we had
hilarious.
to do it again. Anyway, there we go. That's a cold intro.
Back up, chump, you know Biggie Smalls rips it quick and kicks it quick. You know how black niggas get with the hoods, fatigues, with the boots, with trees. All flipping trees, making crazy G's, hitting buckshots at niggas that open spots on the avenue. Take my loot and I'm bagging, pimping hoes that drive Volvos and rodeos. Flash the roll, make them wet in their pantyhose. Damn, a nigga style is unorthodox. Grip the clock when I walk down the crowded blocks. Just in case a nigga wanna act out, I just black out, blow the motherfucking back out. That's a real nigga for you.
Hello.
Let's do it. Oh, sorry.
You did that last time. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out relatively recently at the cinema and see if they still hold up upon a second watch or third watch or fourth watch, depending on how many times we've seen them before. And today, well, I'm Michael, first of all. What order do I do it in? I'm Michael. I'm joined by my co-host, Luke, and we have been reviewing or watching and are about to review The Minority Report
Wow, you said
by
that so fast, Michael.
by you jinxed it by saying like we need to be fast by Steven Spielberg. And Luke, do you want to tell us a thing or two about The Minority Report by Steven Spielberg?
Yes, Michael. Minority Report is a 2002 American neo-noir science fiction film directed by Steven Spielberg, as you said, and it is loosely based on the short story The Minority Report by Philip K. Dick. Well, screenplay by Scott Frank, John Cohen, stars Tom Cruise, Colin Farrell, Samantha Morton, and Max von Sydow.
Do you know what's really interesting about that? I'm going to do that thing where I interrupt you again.
Mm-hmm.
Two things. No, actually, I'm going to just say the first thing for now. Philip K. Dick famously wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which was later adapted into the film Blade Runner. But also, there is a TV series on Channel 4, I think, something like that, called Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams, which is an anthology series dealing with many other Philip K. Dick short stories. And the funny thing is that now that you mention it, because I didn't know this going into this film, I didn't know it was based on a story by Philip K. Dick. But having watched a few of the Philip K. Dick Electric Dream things, they all have. You can tell that this film feels a bit like Blade Runner. It
Yes.
feels a bit like. So anyway, yeah.
Well, I didn't know he actually wrote Blade Runner, but
Ah,
I was going to say it did feel a lot like Blade Runner, very similar in a lot of aspects.
well, that's interesting. So what we've learned is that Philip K. Dick is a hack who basically just writes the same story over and over again.
Yeah, no other explanation.
Yeah, I'll let
Music,
you continue now.
yeah, music by John Williams, as always. And do you want to have a guess at the budget for Minority Report?
100 million.
Yes, well, it's 102, but I'll give you that. Like,
Yeah.
as close as you can be. And how much is it rating at the box office?
I feel like this is quite a famous film, so I'm gonna go for 320 million.
358 million. So not a bad guess.
I'm not doing too bad at this. Good job.
No, yeah.
Uh,
We should talk about why we're reviewing this film.
Oh yeah, we should
Yeah.
actually.
Well, go on then.
I'll do it, yeah, because I feel like usually I do that, but I didn't do it this time. So obviously this seems like maybe a bit of a random film. Obviously Steven Spielberg's new film, Ready Player One, is coming out, and we were thinking, which Steven Spielberg film should we do? And that's why we kind of didn't know what film we were going to be reviewing. And we decided upon The Minority Report. Number one, because we'd both already seen it, a while ago, back in time immemorial, because this film was out in 2002. Incidentally, this should be a Thursday throwback Thursday episode, but it maybe, I don't know. Last time I said that, I ended up actually pushing it really late.
It's fine, Michael. Nobody listens anyway.
I know, it's fine. And then we decided this because also it's a sci-fi film, and of course Ready Player One, kind of sci-fi, and they're both by Steven Spielberg. So basically, This is part of the Steven Spielberg sci-fi comic book movie universe.
Both set in the near future as
Yes.
well. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good movie to do. And like you said, well, you've already seen this before, as have I. So actually, you're the one who asked me if I like it. That's what you do normally.
Yeah, I do. Did you like this film, Luke?
Yeah, I'd say I liked it. Yeah. How about yourself?
Yeah, I also liked it.
Wow. Yeah.
And the specifics of that may be discussed over a movie review podcast that we host.
Hopefully.
Yes. So,
Shall we get into the nitpicks then?
yeah, let's get right into the news.
So,
How many nitpicks do you have, Luke?
oh my God, I have 8.
You're better at this than me. I don't know. I think
What does more mean
you're getting
better?
So I've got 2.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like one of mine I was really the weird thing is both of mine are really close to the beginning, and I think this happens a lot. I notice one's close to the beginning, and I think I just kind of stop doing it.
Yeah, that's what I kind of do as well. Like 3 of mine are right in the beginning.
I'll do my 2 first. And yeah, again, I would be surprised if you have either of these 2 because I think one of them's a stretch and the other one's a bit weird. Number 1, I thought it was kind of dumb the way that they were orchestrating this affair. So this wife, she finds her husband leaves the house, and there's this guy just hanging out outside.
Yes.
And then the second he's gone, he walks in, and they start having an affair. And it's like I don't think that's how you'd actually do it.
He's just standing there in the middle of the park area, just like in clear view of the house. Like doesn't even like hide in a car or whatever.
Yeah, why doesn't he have a car? Like I could understand doing that if you're like a teenager. Like if you're a teenager or like a young adult and you're trying to bang a MILF while her husband's out and you don't have a car, you hang around outside.
Yeah, but not in clear view though either.
Yeah, exactly. You should have very silly.
Yeah. And he's not even like sitting on a bench.
Yeah.
It's
He's just standing and staring.
It's just awful. It's really, really dumb.
Yeah, stupid.
It's not how you conduct an affair, Michael.
Yeah, that's not how. That's we should start an affair podcast, like a pickup artist podcast where we talk top red pill. And then this one again, maybe a bit of a nitpick. So, number 1, Tom Cruise is using this concave screen thing. And first of all, it really reminded me of Sherlock. I don't know if you've seen Sherlock.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Sherlock very much, but one of the things that is kind of associated with Sherlock is he does this whole thing where he like wipes all of these thoughts and he kind of like when he's working something out, he looks at all the evidence in like this weird. I don't know if you've ever seen it. If you haven't seen it, yeah, good. Now first of all, it really reminded me of that, and they had the classical music playing. Like, the other thing is, what is it with the future and partially see-through screens? Because like everyone in the future has see-through screens, which I don't think is that useful. Like there are some situations where I imagine it's kind of useful, but I don't understand at what point in the future past did these see-through computer screens become ubiquitous. Luke?
I guess it'd be kind of impressive.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It reminds me of in After Earth, which is a terrible film, which we should talk about. But After Earth, there's a bit where there's this container, and for no reason the label is a hologram that kind of sticks out from the container at an angle, and it's like, whatever happened to just stickers, Luke?
Yeah.
So, yes. But as for that, let's hear your nitpicks.
So I didn't actually put that second one because I didn't think it was that big of an issue or a problem with the movie, but I can see where you're coming from. So I put 7 more here. So I find it weird that they've got all this technology. Obviously, it's a very advanced society set in 2054, but they can't identify what house the memory is from.
Actually, yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
that's a classic example of you're right, and I don't know why you write it.
Yeah, they spend like 5 minutes like trying to figure out where this house is, and I can't. Like, I'm pretty sure you could do that now. Like,
they cut it really fine. I don't know if that was supposed to be like just the average case, but if that's the average case, I'd expect that, at least like there would have been several, because it's kind of, I don't want to flash forward, but at the end, one of the big things is that there is the first example of a murder since they introduced the pre-crime program. And it's like, well, they failed to get there in time. And I'm thinking, to be honest, it's surprising that they haven't failed to get there in time before.
Yeah, I guess you need the drama. Are they going to get there in time? But to be honest, they should like immediately know where the house is located and not have to somehow figure it out using their knowledge of the District of Columbia area.
who cares if because she's not exactly a sympathetic character. I mean, basically, you've got two morons cheating on each other.
Yeah, but like,
my nails.
I mean, unless you live in Saudi Arabia, I think
That's not
murdering
murder.
is not equivalent to
To
having an affair. Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Anyway,
So, okay, the next nitpick is still at the beginning of the movie when all those troopers land in that park outside their house. Instead of like, there's about 10 of them. Instead of each of them, like, because they can't work out which house is the one from the memory, and instead of
yeah,
all of them going into separate houses or knocking on the door, they all just stand around and try to work out which house is the one, instead of them all rushing in and like, going to each one of those houses and having a guess. And obviously, it's somebody's about to get murdered here, so they have to do this pretty quickly. It's not a case of, okay, we don't want to alarm anybody.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, there's another situation where I'm like, well, why aren't they just running all of them going into the houses? And you could have it that the house that the murder is actually happening in, that's the one that Tom Cruise goes into. So he can still have his moment where he saves the day. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's number
I agree.
3. On to number 4. I think society, well, in general, is just too advanced in 2054. That's only 36 years away from we
Yeah,
are
but
now.
Luke, this was made 16 years ago.
Like even 50 years in the future, you think how much changed from 1950 to 2000? Like not that much.
Yeah, basically just women were slightly
Yeah.
less discriminated against.
In terms of technology. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and 50 years in the future, we're not going to have those roads where the cars look like they're like from 1,000 years in the future, not 50 years in the
Yeah,
future.
I wanted to talk about
Yeah,
those roads and those cars, but we'll do
Okay,
that
yeah,
a
we
bit
can talk
later.
about that later. Those are my thoughts on how
Yes.
society is just too advanced for only 2054. Okay, here's one which is quite funny. I was thinking that you may have brought this one up. When Tom Cruise and Colin Farrell are in the car manufacturing plant and having a fight, I got a flashback to Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, I was like, oh god, this is just Attack of the Clones. And the two movies came out in the same year,
Yes,
2002.
I was thinking that too, about the fact they came out in the same year. I was going to accuse this film of ripping off Attack of the Clones, and I realised that wouldn't really work. But yes.
Well, we know George Lucas liked to take scenes from successful movies, so
Yeah.
it'd probably be the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it probably would be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Like two scenes in which in a manufacturing plant, two main characters are having a fight. Actually, no, there wasn't two main characters in Attack of the Clones, was there? It was just Anakin and some like what were they? Yeah.
Well, there were. I think there were the Geonosians. I think.
That's it. Yeah, the fly things.
Yeah, the fly things.
The insects. Yeah. So that was weird. Just thought I should point it out. On to the next one. Oh yeah, so this one I think is the biggest nitpick of the whole movie, and it's so big that it might even be larger than a nitpick. Tom Cruise can still access the pre-crime building, even though they're looking for him for murder or soon to be a murderer.
Yes, I found that very weird.
Well, I don't know if you've included that in your plot details. I mean, it's a major plot hole, I guess, and that's why I say it's more than a nitpick. How he can still access the pre-crime building with his eyes and get in and steal Agatha. Even though obviously he's a fugitive. You can imagine like straight away they shut down his access to the building, but no, apparently they just let him still gave him access, which is kind of crazy.
Yes, and you would have thought even if they gave him access, there would be some kind of trigger that would say, "Hey, this guy just came on and appeared and stuff."
Yeah, and it happens at the end of the movie again after he gets captured. Because his wife uses his eyes to get into the into the pre-crime building again.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, that's pretty dumb.
So even though maybe they were thinking, oh, he won't come back. What's the point in coming back? Like we want to capture him, and then he comes back and they still don't remove his access.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on to the next one. This isn't as big as the previous one, but it's still quite bad. So Witwer, that's Colin Farrell's character.
Thank you.
Yes, finds John Anderton, Tom Cruise's character.
Weird name.
trying to steal Agatha at the
Really?
exact time Cruz is taking her. So if you watch the movie, you'll know that Colin Farrell realizes that Agatha is in the room when Tom Cruise shoots and kills Leo Crow. I think that was his name, Leo Crow. And so he realizes at that instant that Agatha is going to be stolen by Tom Cruise's character, and obviously he realizes this at the exact time that Tom Cruise is taking her, not like an hour or 10 minutes
Yes.
later or before, just at the exact time. I guess that's what.
Drama.
Yeah, that's why we go to the movies. And the last one, it's not that big a deal, but I think the pronoun game is used so much in this movie. As you know, you watch CinemaSins. It's one of the most common
I'm an avid CinemaSins fan.
Yes, the
I think they're
pronoun
the
game.
best thing to happen to movie criticism.
Yeah, they're into all these nitpicks that we do, and that's the one that they point out a lot, the pronoun game, and that is
Yeah.
why I just got frustrated after. I was like, Jesus Christ, they've said like he and she without referring to the person like 10 times now. Like, my God, it relies on the pronoun game so much to create mystery.
Yes.
Which is a shame, but there you go. That's all of the nitpicks, all 8 of them I've got.
Good. Let's with that out of the way, let's jump right into the plot. Now, Luke, typically you explain the plot, although you have just been talking for ages, so it's
I
up to
have,
you whether
yes.
or not you want to mix it up a bit.
You know what, Michael, you can do it. I can tell you want to, so go ahead.
No, actually, I didn't even see the film. I'm just winging it. So the film takes place in the year 2054, where a pre-crime division of the police force or law enforcement is able to use these psychopathic, pre-cognitive magic psychic things to
Well, they're not
stop crimes.
psychopathic.
I didn't.
That's what you said.
I regret my mislabeling of them. I'm sorry. They are they're telepathic.
Yeah, kind
They're
of.
psychics who are telepathic,
Yeah.
aka psychopaths. Okay.
Yeah. If we can combine these two things to create one word,
Yeah.
psychopaths.
Good portmanteau. So they stop crimes before they happen because they predict crimes are going to happen, then they stop them. And our main character, Tom Cruise, Anderton, Mr. Anderson. Is that from The Matrix?
I haven't watched that in a while.
He is watching all this stuff happening. He sees that he's been pinned for a future crime. So he realizes that the Adjustment Bureau. No, I was thinking. Have you seen the Adjustment Bureau?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's a kind of weirdly similar film in my head, but okay, he finds out that the mind. I don't know what they're called. What is the organization itself called?
The pre-crime unit.
Yeah, I think that's just. It seems like a kind of basic. They should have a better name, but the pre-crime unit are hunting him down because they find out he's going to commit a crime, and he finds out, just to get us to the title drop, because this is the important thing, that in fact not all of these precognition-y thingy psychics give the same reports.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the time, one of them will give a report that contradicts or kind of clarifies details.
Disagrees with the others. Yeah.
Yes, and that's called the Minority Report. And the plot is basically he's trying to get this Minority Report to clear his name, and many a twist signifies upon the way.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In the end, he finds out there. Well, not really in the end. Kind of in the middle of the movie, he finds out there is no Minority Report.
Probably, I think it's the end of the second act.
Yeah. Yeah. Around that time, 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah.
And therefore, what does he do after that?
Well, it's a clever twist in a way because you think the whole thing is going to be he's got to get the Minority Report, and the film itself is called Minority Report. So it's like, oh, he's got to get the Minority Report. And then like you say, about 2/3 of the way into the film, he finds the psychic he's looking for, and what do you know? There is no, there is no clarification. There is no alternative view. Yes. And then the film ends. Somehow the film ends 2/3 of the way in.
Very impressive.
It sounds like mathematically impossible.
Yeah. So after he finds out there is no Minority Report, he then realizes that he's close to the building of where he's going to commit his murder, and so he goes there to see what's going to happen. And obviously he realizes that the guy Leo Crow, who he's meant to kill, actually didn't take his son, and so that was basically why he was going to kill him. He finds out when he enters the hotel room that Leo Crow supposedly took his son, and he is responsible for the kidnapping of his son, who has been away from him for quite some time. And obviously, he's pretty angry about that, so he attempts to shoot. Oh, he doesn't. He holds the gun to Leo Crow, doesn't in fact shoot him, and then Leo Crow says, "You were meant to shoot me. My family needs you to shoot me." And then he realizes he's been set up. And at the end of the movie, we find out that the person who's actually set him up is his mentor, Lester Burgess, I believe that's his name, the inventor of pre-crime, or one of the inventors of pre-crime. And he wanted to do that because Tom Cruise found out about the murder of Anne Lively, and the fact that Anne Lively was actually murdered by Lester Burgess, and he didn't want Tom Cruise to find out.
Lots of twists.
So yeah, it's
And
quite
Colin
complicated.
Farrell gets shot.
Colin Farrell does get shot. That's the thing. You think he's going to be an important character, but then he ends up getting shot.
Yeah, and important characters never get shot.
And well, that's he doesn't play a part in the third act.
Yeah, you do think he's going to be more important than he is. He's what they call a misdirection.
A red herring, I guess.
A red herring, yeah, actually, that's a better word.
Thank you.
But obviously, this film, the plot is kind of interesting in a way because, I mean, first of all, the fact that typically in a film like this, it's like, we got to do the thing, and the film is them trying to do the thing. In this, it's, we got to do the thing, but wait, the thing isn't the thing, and then the thing is the different thing, you know? So it's like, oh, we've got to, I know that I didn't murder this guy, so I've got to prove that I'm innocent. Oh, wait, turns out that I do murder him. Why do I do that? Oh, he kidnapped my son. I guess I've got to murder him now. Oh, wait, actually, I'm going to choose not to murder him. And what do you know? Somebody set him up, and he didn't even murder my son. Who set him up? Was it Colin Farrell, the guy who's been really suspicious and, you know, kind of antagonistic throughout the whole film? Oh, wait, no, Colin Farrell got shot.
It's Lester Burgess.
Yeah, it's Lester Burgess.
I hope that's his name.
Is it Lester Burgess? Oh, you know what? I feel like there's another guy with the surname Burgess, and in a film. Oh, actually, you know what I wanted to mention, Luke? I just remembered this now. And
no, sorry, it's Lamar Burgess. I apologize, it's Lamar.
It is Lamar. This is completely irrelevant, Luke, but we've mentioned the Yucatan Peninsula twice on this show.
Well, we mentioned it last week because of that stupid fucking tattoo and Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah,
but when's the other time we mentioned it?
We mentioned it in our Arrival podcast because, and I see if you'll remember this, Amy Adams is talking about how the word kangaroo in Aborigine means I don't know. And I said that I'd heard that the term Yucatan means I don't understand in Mayan. And you went, oh, that's interesting, Michael.
Okay.
So eventually we're going to get the Yucatan trifecta as my prediction.
Okay, why are you bringing this up now? What's the relevance?
Because I just remembered it. I was thinking.
Oh, wow.
I saw the Yucatan Peninsula mentioned in something about the dinosaurs, and I was like, hey, the Yucatan Peninsula, it keeps coming up. What does it mean?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
By the way,
how did it burn? How did it get burned?
I recognise why I called Lamar Burgess Lester Burgess, because Lester Burnham is the name of the character in American Beauty.
Yeah.
And that's why I did it. They both the surnames both start with Byrne. It's my downfall. So we were talking about how complicated the plot actually is, because you think the major issue that Tom Cruise is going to have to deal with, or the movie's dealing with from a plot perspective, is how can I prove my innocence, and who set me up, who framed me, and then it turns into this other thing, this more important thing, which is like, oh, this guy murdered this woman, Anne Lively, a number of years ago to try and cover up Oh no, to try and keep the project going, because Anne Lively obviously was the mother of Agatha, one of the precogs, and without Agatha, the whole pre-crime thing would shut down. And so that's the thing. Like, I think it's clever, but I do think it can be hard to follow. Um, and watching it for a second time, obviously you know what's going on, you understand it. I can imagine quite a few people watching this and getting a bit confused by the goings on and like wait, trying to keep track of all the characters and all the plot lines going on.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think. See, the thing is, I'll say this. I don't think it's as confusing as it sounds. So when we're talking about it on here, it sounds incredibly confusing. I do think the film does a relatively good job at
Mhm.
being more easy to follow. I don't think it's the easiest thing in the world to follow, but I definitely think that this film could have been a lot more confusing.
Yeah, I
I
guess
think
it could have been.
you
Uh,
sort of do get. The film definitely doesn't walk you through it, but it kind of takes it at a reasonable
mm,
pace where you can kind of be like, okay. Other the internal twists is that there's this thing established which is echoes, which is basically it's quite a simple concept. These things, I don't know what they're actually called, which is really bothering me. The psychic
Precogs.
precognition, the
They're
precogs.
just called the precogs
There
over
we
and
go.
over
I see, I've
again.
been
Yeah.
calling them over and over thousands of times and I've missed it. These precogs, obviously they predict murders. However, sometimes they remember old murders. And the system is designed in such a way that if it remembers if it echoes, if it remembers an old murder, then that just gets basically wiped, because obviously they think, oh, it's just remembering an old murder. So the thing they establish, which is kind of very elaborate, is that the way that you can get away with murder is by having someone kill someone or attempt to kill someone in a particular way, and then they get arrested, and then you do kill that person in the exact same way, and they will think that the precogs are just remembering the old incident,
Yeah.
and that's how you get away with murder. It reminds me of. I'm gonna have to talk about this. Do you know Looper? I guess you know of the film.
I'm gonna watch it soon actually.
Okay, well, I'll give away. This isn't spoilers. It's just the premise of the film. So the premise of the film, number one, is that crime fighting is so advanced that you pretty much can't get away with murder. But what they have instead is that people, and I think you probably know this because it's kind of the point of the film, but people are, instead of being murdered, they're sent back in time and murdered in the past, and it's really dumb. Like it's because the problem is like nothing about it makes sense because it's like, okay, so you can get away with murder, but you can't get away with murder, but you can get away with kidnapping, and it's like, I mean, again, it's a silly premise, but yeah, I feel like there are a lot of films that are kind of, how do we murder people in this futuristic society, and pretty much always the solution is really bizarre.
Mm. Well, there's a lot of concepts here in this movie, and the thing about I guess it's clever, this echo thing, but you don't learn about it until like near the end of the movie or near the part of the movie where you find out what uh, Lamar
Yeah,
actually did. So if it was established at the beginning of the movie that there is this thing called echoes, then I think it would pay off better at the end of the movie if you realize that's what he did. But you only
yeah,
know about
that's
the
true actually, yeah.
concepts of echoes like near the end of the film.
And
So that's an issue right there. Yeah.
that's a good example, I think, of one of those, because obviously one of the problems with establishing things in films is that it's often like, oh, they've established this, so it's going to come back into play later, and
Mm.
it's a bit like, it gives it away. But in this case, I think you easily could have had that in there,
Yeah,
and
like
it
Tom
would.
Cruise explaining to Colin Farrell when they first meet, like maybe subjects of echoes are brought up, and that's what Tom
Yeah,
Cruise says. You know,
there's loads of ways,
yeah,
and you could have it in there, and then you wouldn't think about it, but then they introduce it, and like, oh, they brought it back. That's clever.
yeah,
But yeah, it's one of those things where I don't the it seems like a really difficult thing to pull off, killing someone in the exact same way that they were previously attempted to be killed by someone else.
yeah. Uh,
Pretty,
that's why it's a clever idea.
it is clever, yeah.
I just wish, like I said, there had been some setup for it because then I'd be like, oh, that's so that's genius. Also, though, I would like to point out that the whole murder of Anne Lively. I didn't like I said before, the initial drive of the movie is Tom Cruise trying to find out about Leo Crow and why does he murder him. But obviously they come back to Anne Lively at the end of the movie, but they spend like only 5 minutes before Tom Cruise discovers that he's going to get or he's going to murder someone on Anne Lively. It's not that big a thing, and obviously you realise that it's probably something's going to happen with that, but obviously because of the very little time they spend on it, I think they should spend more time on the murder of Anne Lively and maybe.
Sorry.
Go on. Yeah, you keep on cutting. Go on.
I know. See, half of the time I'm just agreeing with you, and then the other half of the time I'm interrupting you. I was just going to say this film has you know what? Well, you know what's really annoying?
What?
I can't exactly. Okay, I remember what I was going to say. This film to me is not a great conspiracy film because I don't think the pacing is right for a conspiracy film. And I think you don't, and it's kind of hard to explain, but you don't get a sense of the conspiracy. Like it's too, I think it's too actiony and too kind of fast. I feel like Tom Cruise has this energy that inherently makes conspiracy films like bad, or sorry, conspiracies like
hard. Well,
they're slow.
Yeah, I think you're constantly trying to figure out. Obviously, for a second view, you know what's going to happen, but the first time, I'd imagine you're constantly trying to figure out what's going on. Like at every stage, like you're trying to work out things. And that's why I said at the beginning, I think it can get a bit confusing. Like you said, it is very fast paced, and it just moves on to one concept after the other, and you don't really get time to think about the whole situation.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, the movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes long, so yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it's a whole new world. You got to introduce all these new concepts. Yeah. Well, like other sci-fi movies, and in addition to that, you have a conspiracy going along. It's really difficult, I think, to fit everything in to 2.5 hours and make it easy for a lot of people to understand. So it was a hard task to pull off, and I think, to be honest, they could have done it better.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't feel I think this film would have been. I mean, it's a good kind of film, but it's not. I don't think it gives you enough time to digest what's happening.
I mean, that's why I said on the second viewing, I think it's easier because you now understand what's going on and you can appreciate it more. That's why I say I did like it.
Although I think one of the problems there is, of course, that the first time you're watching it, you know there are all these twists, but they're happening so fast that you can't even keep up with them. And then the second time you're watching it, you can keep up with it all, but also all the twists have been ruined. But it's kind of a bit like it's a half and half.
But the twists have been ruined, but you can still appreciate it. Like when I watched the end of I watched The Usual Suspects again for like a third time or whatever. I can still appreciate the ending, and I can watch how everything was set up nicely and neatly for the dramatic reveal. But yeah, I do agree. Obviously, that's the issue with watching these mystery films for a second time. Like, the first time is always going to shock you, and nothing else will compare to it.
Yeah, although I do agree with you that I think good films can be good even when the twist is ruined. Because a lot of the time I say that films that just rely on a twist feel kind of cheap. And it's like if the only thing the film has is, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. Then like good films have a twist, but they also have emotions and characters and things you care about.
Yes.
So yeah, do you have anything more to say about the plot?
Well, I was just going to mention one. I guess it's a plot hole, but I'm just kind of wondering like the whole. Okay, so the whole concept of the movie is people are going to murder people, and there's nothing they can do about it unless they know. But the thing is, usually something has to trigger in someone's mind, like they are going to kill this person.
Yeah.
For the precogs to know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm just wondering what goes on in Tom Cruise's mind that makes him want to kill Leo Crow. Because the only thing that Lamar Burgess does is say, hey, Leo Crow, you're going to be at this time in this hotel. He gets all the pictures of kids and puts them in this hotel room, and that's it. That's all he does. He doesn't tell Tom Cruise anything or make Tom Cruise do anything else. So what sets off this precog vision of Tom Cruise killing Leo Crow? Like Tom Cruise is just going about his job normally. Like there's nothing that should actually happen to set in motion the events that lead to Tom Cruise shooting Leo Crow. Like that's the thing. Like
I don't know if it's just arbitrary. I mean, I don't know if maybe they just precog things completely arbitrarily, or if it's because that's the weird thing. I mean, obviously, and
well,
also
the vision of him sets him off doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, that's kind of the funny thing. I get what you're saying actually there. So you're saying it's almost like a paradox.
Yeah. What if he's not in the room when Agatha or whoever, what that vision shows, you'd say, oh, he'd get arrested. But the thing is, he wouldn't be seeing it in the first place, so there'd be nothing for him to act on. So
that is
so it wouldn't happen anyway.
That's a bit like so
it's a paradox, but
you know in time travel films, when in the first arc of like the time travel, like they do the same thing twice, and in the first arc there are things that happen that are only, so for example, the classic example is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. The first time they go through it, and all these different things happen, and they have, and they're happening because in the future, the people, their future selves, are going back in time and changing the past.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is, you have the question of like, well, why, if they hadn't gone back in time and done all these things, then they wouldn't have been in the same situation, which means they wouldn't have gone back in time, which means, and it's like really confusing. So I get what you're saying.
This is the issue with time travel. It just doesn't make sense, and especially in this case, when the events are set in motion by Tom Cruise
by seeing the thing that you're supposed to do in the future.
Yes,
it's what you call the self-fulfilling prophecy, which is that's kind of funny though in a way, because like if someone showed me like a vision of me killing someone, then like maybe it would set into motion something that would cause me to kill someone. It's like, if you hadn't shown me that, then
it's like, especially in Tom Cruise's position as the head of the pre-crime unit. It's like if he doesn't see that, then like I said before, he doesn't know what's going to happen with Leo Crow. He doesn't know he's going to be in that hotel, and so it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So I just don't know how it's set off, like the pre-cog division is set off. So that's what I just wanted to examine. I hope your head's not hurting too much after talking about that.
I agree. That is. I didn't think about that, but that's a very valid point.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did you? Okay. Yeah, I know what we want to talk about now. One thing I wanted to say actually, and this is not a nitpick, but when they're having that fight, they're on jetpacks and they're having a fight in a fire escape, like one of those outdoor fire escapes. It's basically the first time that they catch up with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me of the Turn Down for What video, but in reverse.
Oh, yeah.
Because they smash up through the ceiling into like this family thing, and I just thought that's just like Turn Down for What.
But reverse.
And I was that's just.
Maybe that's where they got the inspiration for the music video.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe. Shall we? So, but I just want to conclude on the plot, if that's okay.
Yes.
So as we've mentioned, the plot does have some issues with does it even make sense, and issues with pacing and concepts introduced, and what is actually the main storyline here, and the significance of various storylines. But I will say this about it: I think it's good in that it's more complicated. You mentioned this before. It's not simply Tom Cruise has to find the Minority Report, and then his life goes back to normal. It's a lot more than that, which I appreciate.
I feel like in the late 90s, early 2000s, and maybe this has always been true, but I think about this in particular of late 90s, early 2000s films. There was this thing about sci-fi having to be about like this grand concept. For example, The Matrix obviously was sci-fi, but it was about like, what if we lived in a computer, man? And then there was Gattaca, which was like sci-fi, but then it was like, hey, what if people were genetically modified, man? Like, I feel like 99% of sci-fi made around the turn of the century was literally just like they sat with a bunch of people, gave them some weed, and then they just said, "Well, it's like, what if this man?"
Well, maybe it's because of the time. It was like the new millennium, like new
Yeah.
things are going to happen soon. Yeah, obviously this movie's set in the near future, and The Matrix is set, I guess, in the near future.
Yeah, I think the Matrix is 2100. I guess it depends how near is near.
I can't remember, but basically, yeah, those movies are set in the near future, and it's kind of like, obviously, I imagine people
Yeah.
around that time were looking, forward. Oh, which there's going to be a
Awesome.
new millennium soon. It's
And
going
then 9/11 happened.
to. Yes, well, I think 9/11 is actually relevant when it comes to this movie. We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, I think I think
Yeah.
people were thinking that it's kind of like a new age. It's going to happen soon, so we got to think, like of these concepts that perhaps people just wouldn't have been thinking of before.
Y2K, man.
Those are the days.
Y2K. Remember when people were scared of computers?
Oh yeah, they were.
Remember Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines?
Remember floppy disks? So, yeah.
Remember when you'd put the video in and the person before you hadn't rewound the video back to the beginning?
Yeah. Technology back then was so scary. Now people just give all that information to all these tech companies like it's nothing.
Yeah.
As we've seen over the last few weeks.
Yes, exactly. To be honest, though, everyone always complains about, like, the thing everyone says about Facebook is they go, "Hey, dudes, Facebook sells your information to advertisers," but I actually quite like it because I remember when I first went on the internet and I was like, it was before I knew about AdBlock on YouTube, I would get all these, like, suggestions for shampoo and stuff, like herbal essences and, like, floral shampoo, and now I don't get that anymore. And I 100% put it down to Facebook stealing all my data. Well done, Facebook.
Well, I have to say I disagree with that.
You like more targeted advertising. I mean, you like less targeted advertising.
Yeah, less targeted advertising. I don't like corporations knowing who I am down to a T. I think that's a bit creepy, to be honest.
Well, maybe we can talk about that in our own sci-fi film. Anyway, speaking of sci-fi films, one of the things that all sci-fi films have to do, as you said, Luke, is not only tell a story, but also craft a world, which in the world-building community is called world building.
The world building community.
There is actually such a thing as the world building community. So
on just Reddit, like the cheerleading community.
Yes. On Reddit, there's a subreddit called world building, and it's something I find kind of interesting. But it's basically about like kind of creating a new world, and I think it's an interesting thing to think about. Like, what would we did it a bit. Remember that time when we planned out how we would divide the United Kingdom into states?
Oh yeah.
World building, Luke.
That's kind of world building. It's using an existing world, and it was more a system of government really than a world building. Yeah,
that's true. World modifying.
Yeah, world modifying.
Game of Thrones is world building light because it's basically just what if it's the weed smoking guy. What if the Middle Ages had dragons, man? Classic. But anyway, the world building. One of the things that you want to talk about, which I'm going to introduce for you to steal your thunder, is the way that, the future means everything's shot in like weird, almost overexposed color.
Yeah, well,
like everything seems a bit too bright and not as defined.
On the Wikipedia page, this film's style is defined as overlit, or the shooting of the film. Overlit is the phrase, the word.
Actually, this is relevant. So, right at the beginning, I was going to interrupt you, and I was going to say two things, and instead I just said one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking about Philip K. Dick. The thing I was going to say, because you said it's a neo-noir film based on a Philip K. Dick book, I think it would be interesting to talk about the concept of neo-noir.
Okay.
Because it's not, it's one of those fancy terms that film buffs use. So I'm not going to put you on the spot, Luke. Would you like to confirm that you know neo-noir, or would you like me not to put you on the spot?
Well, I can imagine what neo-noir is.
Okay, well, I'm going to explain it anyway, and then you can just say that you agree. You can say, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. So there was this idea called film noir, which was in, I think, basically from the 40s to the 60s, people made kind of films that were depressing and kind of dark in tone and like weird, and often gangster films, and it's like not a very clearly defined thing. But the interesting thing is that So that was called film noir.
Well, I
And
imagine it's because it fit because all films were in black and white.
yeah, exactly. That's
So
the thing,
yeah,
Right.
it helps. Like dark movies in black and white make sense. Like happy family movies in black and white don't really make that much sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And there's also a game called LA Noir, which is a neo noir game. But neo noir, in theory, or I'd generally thought of it as being about kind of new films that take those ideas of the noir tone. And a really good example, actually, and possibly the definitive example, is the Coen brothers film, The Man Who Wasn't There, which is one of their least well-known films. It's I'll tell you what it's about this guy who decides to invest in dry cleaning. And as you can
Wow.
imagine, it's a very dark, disturbing story. It actually does. It goes very out of control in classic. I mean, that's how the Coen brothers work. You can't do anything about everything going wrong.
Mm.
You can't even fake a kidnapping in order to pay off your creditors. That's
Am I meant
Fargo.
to say something here?
That's Fargo.
Oh. Oh yeah.
Um,
Well, they all seem very similar.
Yes,
So,
they're all the same Coen brothers films. But obviously, this film, Blade Runner, is the other thing that is. Blade Runner is considered a neo noir film, which kind of makes sense because it's kind of
Yeah, it's dark and
This-
grungy. That's the word,
But
grungy.
the weird thing about this film is that it says it's neo noir and yet it's really bright. And of course, what does noir mean, Luke?
It means black, but
Yes.
the thing is, the movies back in the day, when this noir concept came, as you just laid out, were in black and white.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the key is not that it's bright. The key is that the color is taken out of it.
yes,
That
there
I
is-
think is the key. That's what makes it a noir movie. That there is very little actual color. The only scene which is normally shot is the scene with Tom Cruise and his kid while they're at the pool. All the other scenes are shot without or a lot of color taken out of it, and I think that's what makes it a noir film.
Yes, Luke. Well done. You said exactly what you had to say.
Wait,
Now
do you
everyone
disagree?
No, I agree. That is true. It's although to be honest, it's one of those things where I don't like. I was talking about it as if I understood it. I don't completely like. I don't think I would be an authority. Like there are some things where I'd be like, okay, that's definitely a noir film. And then there's like I don't know.
Well, no, I think I could identify a noir film pretty easily.
I think we should have that should be one of our bonus on our bonus channel. We should have a challenge called "Is it a noir film?"
Have you seen the movie LA Confidential?
You know what's really weird? I think I have, but I don't remember it. So I'm gonna say no.
It stars a non-disgraced Kevin Spacey. Came out in '97, I think,
Yeah.
and it's about. Actually, I think it's set in the '50s. I think it is, but I'm gonna have to check that again. No, I'm pretty sure it is. Otherwise, I consider it there. I wouldn't have just come up with that. I don't think. So it's set in the '50s, and the thing is, it's not shot in noir. But I think that movie, and obviously it's shot normally, so it's colourful. But I think that movie, because it's a crime film in the '50s in Los Angeles, I think
That
that
would be
movie
noir.
that would be a good movie for noir, but it's not actually
Yeah,
shot
okay,
in
yeah.
noir.
I get you.
Yeah.
That's probably true. I think the problem is every single time that a certain style is defined, the minute you do that, filmmakers are going to try and defy the conventions. So you basically can never really have a coherent style because the minute you do it, some artsy fartsy person is going to come along and be like,
Some
"Hey,
attention
man,
seeker.
what if we shot a film noir film in color?
Everything was colour.
What if we made a film noir film, but we made it really bright, man?"
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of a bit of a stereotype that everything in the future is really pristine and white.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good for a dystopian film like this that it is shot in noir. I think that was a good decision. I think it works because it gives the audience member a kind of unease. They're uncomfortable because of how dark it is, and I guess that's the tone of the movie. It's meant to be dark.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was a good choice.
I'm going to bounce off that, Luke, and say that it is I think it's uniquely good for dystopian films that are kind of not openly dystopian. So what I mean by that is films where on the surface it seems like everything's fine, but beneath the surface, you realize there's something dark going on, because in that way, kind of the whiteness, or kind of like the I don't want to go into all this stuff, but generally speaking, people associate the white with the pristine, the pure, and they associate dark with dark.
Ah, you racist.
I know. And you can talk about the implications of that, but obviously, like it's kind of interesting. For example, having a world that is overly white, and it's like, hey, look at how perfect our society is. We don't even have mud in this society. Look, everything's completely clean.
That reminds me of
and then there's
Sorry, go on.
There's the dark underbelly as well.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of the latest Heineken advert. That Heineken light beer, which you should search after this when you're listening to.
Well, you know that Heineken is my favorite affordable beer.
Is it actually?
Possibly. It used to be Foster's, but I think I got tired of Foster's somehow.
Oh yeah. You should watch that. But I only bring it up because I read about it today, talking about how white is better than dark. But yeah. Anyway, Steven Spielberg is the director of this movie. Steven Spielberg, and he also shot, which I watched recently, Bridge of Spies, in this kind of overlit manner as well, which is interesting.
And that's from the 60s, right?
It is.
That's the one with Tom Hanks.
It is Tom Hanks.
And apparently it's not very good.
I kind of liked it, to be honest.
I haven't seen it.
I think it was a bit. No, you know what? I think I liked it. I don't mind slow-paced movies.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, it's the things that I've heard about it, the things that don't necessarily make me think I would dislike it.
Yeah, like when I hear, it's a bit slow, I think, well, you know what, that's probably thoughtful, it's probably intelligent.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of stuff. So
that's why we like Zack Snyder films, because they're slow motion.
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, that's what I just wanted to say. Bridge of Spies is shot in a similar way, which is also a Spielberg film.
Yeah, Spielberg, he just makes the same three films. Dark, historical films.
Oh, we need a neo-noir Jurassic Park film.
Yeah, that would be great.
Oh, that would be interesting.
In a way, the Jurassic World is very pristine, and it hides the dark underbelly of the Indominus Rex. What's actually a good. This is my official stance on this. Okay, Jurassic Park 3 is a really good noir Jurassic Park film, and the reason is, and one of the things I rewatched Jurassic Park 3 for research, and one of the things I realized about it is it's really good at criticizing the last two films. I'm not gonna. I don't know. I don't. Maybe I should.
Yeah. This is the Minority Report review, Michael.
Yes.
So we'll get on to Jurassic Park in a while.
Yes. Anyway, I want to talk about. So obviously the way it's filmed is one thing, but the other part about crafting the future, you can't just set your exposure up to 55,000. I don't know what exposure is measured in. So you can't just set your exposure up to whatever exposure is measured in that would be considered more than normal. You've got to have things in it like cars that drive sideways and downwards and upside down and side to side.
Well, I think I've already made my feelings quite clear on that.
Yes.
I think that's too far.
I think that filmmakers really need to check themselves when they imagine that we could ever have a future that doesn't involve robust public transport. Realistically, we're not going to completely renovate.
I was thinking, where's the government investment in this?
Yeah, there's no way that we're going to be like, hey guys, let's build all of these roads and all of these new cars and still have everyone driving their own cars and using up. What about the global warming loop?
I mean, yeah. Well, I was going to look at it from a right-wing Republican perspective. Like, look at these spendocrats wanting to, completely overhaul this our road system. I think that it's very unlikely, not just for technology reasons, but for political reasons, that anything like this would ever happen.
Yeah, exactly. I think what you should do before you sit down and write a sci-fi film, you should first of all write the last 50 years of political history that you think is actually going to establish this system. And then if it passes that test, then you win. And then you end up with Idiocracy. Idiocracy is very believable.
Very.
But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the problem with setting a sci-fi film in America is that I think America is very resilient to change.
Yes.
Like I don't see them establishing flying cars before they've embraced the metric system.
No, yeah, they are behind.
Yeah,
Like they're just behind in everything, absolutely everything.
I think it's more likely that Europe. Europe's gonna beat them to dystopia. We beat them to everything. We beat them to fascism. We beat them to communism.
Industrial
I think-
Revolution, even though they haven't really started yet, but we'll still take the win.
We beat them to getting rid of slavery.
We beat them to right-wing populism by a few months.
And we're going to beat them to a fascist technocracy.
Technocracy.
Technocracy. Actually, to be honest, a technocracy is actually rule of the intelligent. I don't know why it's called a technocracy. Well,
I thought it'd be a rule of
technology.
Like Mark Zuckerberg going to be president or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it won't be after this week.
Yeah, more like Zark Zuckerberg.
Right. Do we want to get onto the themes and the philosophical questions?
Stuff. Basically, world building not very believable, but at least it was shot well. The themes and the philosophical questions. I have one question for you, Luke, and this is not a question about what you think, but more about what is the punishment for set up in this film? Because they have this weird thing in this film, like people are arrested for crimes they're about to commit, and then they're presumably punished in some way, but it's not really clear what's happening, or I didn't really understand what was happening. They're put in like these stasis chambers, and and the thing is, like, my question would be this, Luke, if I was to phrase this question: how would you punish people, or how would like justice work in a society where no one actually commits crimes? Like, what is the sentence for someone who was going to murder someone?
Well, you'd imagine they would be killed. So I imagine the death penalty would be enforced if they actually did kill the person. But since they didn't actually kill the person, they're not actually gonna use the death penalty, and they're gonna do what they did in this movie, which is kind of just have them in a coma.
Yeah, I don't know, like, if it's kind of like they're supposed to be released, because the thing is, I would think that obviously it's generally said that the criminal justice system should have three main purposes: to deter, to punish, and to rehabilitate. And in this case, you don't really need you do need a deterrent in a way, but it kind of almost doesn't matter, seeing as like they can just stop any crime. Like, they don't even really need to deter people from committing crimes, because they can just stop any crime. And they don't really need to punish, because it's generally established in this film that people aren't typically even committing the crimes. So you don't need to punish someone for a crime that hasn't even been committed. So basically, I would think the only thing they should be doing is rehabilitating. And I realize, like, obviously it's a dark film, and therefore it makes sense they wouldn't do this, because but I mean, just logically, you think like, and it's especially in like a case like this, because there's a guy who at the beginning of the film he finds out his wife's cheating on him, so he goes to murder her. Now, I don't really know what you would do with that, because it's like, okay, they haven't murdered anyone, and like, obviously it's what you call a crime of passion, a crime that's not premeditated but is instead just a spur of the moment thing. And it's like, to be honest, I think just let the guy go, and then if his next wife cheats on him, just be like, oh damn it, his next wife's cheating on him, we gotta get there again.
Is it a case of everybody gets one? Okay.
Yeah, everybody gets one. That's what I think.
Well, that's what one of the questions you're discussing right now was one of the questions I was thinking. Should you, if this tech existed, should you be charged with a crime you haven't committed, even though you were intending to commit it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really weird question, and that was the question I also had written down. And I don't know, because obviously the thing is, here's another question though, okay? And here's I'm answering your question with a question. What if you would commit the crime, except for the fact you know you would be caught? So what if, for example, because this is in a world where everyone pretty much knows that they can't get away with murder, which basically means that even if you really wanted to kill someone, you probably wouldn't do it anyway, because you know that you would be caught, and it would be like, so it would be like, I want to kill that person, but I know that the minute that I decide to kill that person, I'll be cool because they'll know that I decide, and it's like, I don't know, basically you'd have a load of people running around being like, I really want to kill that guy, but I can't do it.
Well, I wonder, like, if Tom Cruise, when he found out that he was going to murder this person in 36 hours, if he just like immediately gave himself up, I was like, right,
Yeah.
just lock me away for 36 hours or whatever, and then like, or what if he ran away for 36 hours and then just came back? Like, what would
Yeah,
happen then?
it is, it's really kind of, like, and the thing is, I mean, obviously this film doesn't really punish the desire to commit a crime. It punishes the stupidity of not realizing that you can't get away with it.
Yeah,
Like, if you don't realize that you basically have no options in this. So, I mean, to be honest, I don't really struggle not to murder people. I don't know about you. I
yeah.
personally find it's a pretty,
Well, the murder rate apparently is incredibly high, at least at the start of the
yeah, it's
pre-crime
like, it
era.
seems to be like 600,000 or something.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's
ridiculous.
always the case in dystopian futures. Like the murder rate's high, crime rate is soaring. Like it's the case with every The Purge, for
No,
instance.
no, Luke, you're wrong. There is a popular film called The Host, based on a book by Stephanie Meyer, the author of Twilight. And in that film, there is a really low murder rate because everyone has been infected by aliens that make them really peaceful.
Okay, well, you know what? In dystopian futures, which there are no aliens which infect people to make them peaceful, often the crime rate is very high.
That's true.
And that I guess is well, I guess that's part of being in a dystopia. Like things are bad, so the crime
Yeah.
rate must be really high.
I I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
See, something I want to talk about, because I find this interesting, is one of the things. Do you know what a sting operation is?
Yes.
Okay. Well, for the people who don't know, a sting operation is when you put someone in a position where they are likely to commit a crime or are going to commit a crime, and you've manufactured it so that you can catch them in the act.
Yeah, it's like a trap.
So, yeah, so I'd go, hey Luke, want to buy some drugs? And then Luke would, well, actually, it would be more like if I said, hey Luke, can you sell me some drugs? Because it's, I think it's more illegal to sell drugs than to buy drugs. So I was like, hey Luke, can you sell me some drugs? And you were like, yeah. And then we go up and then we meet, and then I'm like, hey, I'm a policeman and you just sold me drugs, so you're going to prison. One of the things I always think about is, I leave my bike and I lock my bike up, but I always think like, wouldn't it be great if I didn't have to lock my bike up? And here's my plan, Luke. Okay, what if we made it so people just like left their bikes unlocked, like policemen left unlocked bikes around town, and then they just watched, and the minute someone stole a bike, they just ran in and arrested them, and then that way we would have a society where nobody stole any bikes.
I mean, it's not a pressing issue, Michael, but I can see your point.
So I do kind of think I find the idea of sting operations quite interesting, and if I were to establish a premise for a law enforcement themed sci-fi film, I think that's what I would have. I would have a society where 50% of the time, when you think you can commit a crime, it's actually just something that's been manufactured by law enforcement, and everyone's like, "Ooh, I could steal that bike right now," but what if the laws? I don't know why I'm focusing on bikes so much.
It's an issue very close to your heart.
Yeah, but the thing is, I actually went on to. Do you know the subreddit Change My View?
No.
Okay, well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's
Yeah.
just like you post something, you say change my view, and I basically, genuinely, because I wanted my opinion to be challenged. Like it's one of those, like a lot of people go on there and they clearly don't want to change their opinion. Like they'll go on there and go, change my view, feminism is evil, and then yeah, it doesn't. But anyway, I went on there. I said change my view. Sting operations are a very effective means of in law enforcement, and they should be used quite often. And I was saying, like, because for example, you can spend ages chasing after people after they've committed crimes, but if you just made it so that there was a huge risk that when you're committing a crime, it could be a crime that was set up by people that are out to catch you, then it would be a deterrent. That was basically my thing. And I saw like some interesting arguments, but I also saw arguments that I just thought were kind of dumb. Like someone basically said, well, everyone would commit a crime so if they can get away with it, so you shouldn't make it illegal, and I don't know, don't really agree with that.
No.
Like everyone would steal a bike if they could get away with it. I wouldn't steal a bike if I could get away with it legally.
Well, I'd say I think it's wrong for police to try and proactively arrest citizens.
Would you say
you-
it's entrapment? Luke?
Yeah, in entrapment. Your job is to protect and serve, not throw people in jail. That's
You
your.
sound like a Black Lives Matter.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like I believe the police are there for you, and you shouldn't be afraid or scared of them. Their job is to serve you. So would be my argument
Yeah.
against entrapment or sting operations.
I think both you and I, Luke, are quite liberal. I guess I'm right in saying that you probably don't support the death penalty.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just thought. So yeah, you and I, we're you know how in The Simpsons, I feel like in the 90s, the big thing about the Democrats and the Republicans was the Democrats were like soft on crime, and that was the whole thing. In the old Simpsons episode where it's like Mayor Quimby even released Sideshow Bob, a 2-time convicted attempted murderer, paid for by Sideshow Bob for president, or Sideshow Bob for mayor.
Well, you think it was a big thing that Republicans attack Democrats on lack of crime or
Yeah,
standing
well,
up to crime?
There's this famous debate fail where the guy who was running against, I think, George Bush Sr., he was asked basically this question in a debate. It was, if your wife and daughter were raped and murdered, would you support an irrevocable death penalty against the perpetrators? And he said, no, I wouldn't, because I'm against the death penalty. And it really hurt his poll numbers. Like, it really damaged it, because everyone's like, well, he won't murder the people who, or have the people who raped his family executed, then I can't trust him.
That's just because people are fucking dumb.
If you ever go onto the YouTube
yeah.
comments about murderers, you see people have a lot of bloodlust.
Yeah,
kill them.
They do.
They
yeah.
kicked a puppy.
I
Kill
think,
them.
I mean, we're getting off the subject of Minority Report here, but
Are we?
I think we are. But I'll just end by saying that I think, like, a majority of the British public, I think, support the death penalty.
Yes.
I think that's the case, and obviously it hasn't been legal for like 50 years. And that just goes to show you that sometimes the British public should not be trusted in making these decisions, which are often emotional.
I know, yeah. It's
Yeah, some
It's kind of
decisions
crazy.
are left up to people who actually are smart.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It seems
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Although
For
I do
some
think,
reason, dumb people really like killing people.
yeah, because they're not rational, they're irrational, so they're ruled by their emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's another topic for another time.
But yes, I think the real question is, would you like to live in the Minority Report society, Luke?
No,
Good.
no. I mean, I don't know if you are, but I'm against this whole pre-crime thing anyway.
Yeah, the pre-crime thing I'm against. I think there's some merit to the idea of punishing the tendency to commit crime.
Mm-hmm.
But I think punishment isn't necessarily the right word. I think the problem is with all this law enforcement discussion, in my opinion, and I imagine you'll agree with this, is that of course the main reason for crime is because of a lot of social problems that are fixable. So it's kind of redundant to talk about how do we stop crime when the obvious thing is, well, why there's loads of poor people. That's one of the biggest causes of crime is poverty. So let's deal with it. So yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we get on to the next philosophical question?
Yes, I don't have any more down actually.
Well, it's just basically, can the future change, or is it set in stone? For
That's
example,
really good.
Yeah, I mean, I got this from the Wikipedia page. This movie deals with the issue of, I think it's free will versus determinism.
Yes.
Yes. The film's central theme is the question of free will versus determinism. It examines whether free will can exist if the future is set and known in advance.
Now, Luke, you should possibly know my opinion on this.
Yeah, I do, because I think you explained it to me a year ago.
I had an argument with Alex about it, apart from anything else. So
you had an argument with all of us.
Yeah, actually, I think I did. I can't remember exactly. I think I remember the argument with Alex, because I think Alex is just louder than everyone else.
You were arguing for determinism, that everything happens and nothing can change.
Yeah. We war. That's my siren. That's my revealing a fact about me siren. So the little known fact about me is that I am in fact religious, and I subscribe to what's called Reformed Christianity, which basically says that the entire future and history of the world is laid out in stone, and everything that's gonna happen is gonna happen, no matter what. But to be honest, I should clarify this because that's kind of misframing the thing, because I don't believe this because of my religious views. I think, well, I'll tell you what, I'll not. What do you think, Luke?
I am on the side of free will, Michael. Yeah. Here's the thing. The human brain is something that is absolutely incredible, and it allows us to make decisions of our own. And obviously, you disagree with this, and I recognize that, but I'll just say this movie, I think, is on my side.
Yes, this movie is on your side.
Yes, so it comes out on the side of free will. You do have a choice. You can kill this person or not. The future is not set in stone. Things can change. So yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting actually? So this happens in two TV/films of equal caliber, Sherlock and Saw. And in both of them, a character says something pretty much to the extent of, if you knew every variable in the universe, you could predict the future perfectly. And in both cases, it's the dumbest thing anyone's ever said, because, like, yes, that's true, but if who knows every variable in the universe? But it's an interesting thing because they kind of hint at that in this film, because there's a bit where a guy rolls a ball, and then the guy catches it, and he says, why did you catch it? And the guy's like, well, it was going to fall.
Well, these are the two main characters, not just guys.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, and he's like, how did you know it was going to fall? And the guy, random guy too, is like, well, because I predicted based on stuff or whatever, Here's the thing about the free will thing. I had a debate about it with an ex-girlfriend, as it happens, while I was at a wedding. And
wow.
Yeah, I
Sorry, I can just imagine like them getting married. The vicar saying, "Do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" And then you're just there with your girlfriend, like arguing about determining.
What happened is does anyone know any lawful reason why these two shall not wed? And I was like, because they don't have free will, so they can't choose to marry each other. No.
Yeah.
Here's the simple formulation of the argument. And I'm going to introduce this now, Luke, and I don't expect you to be able to respond to it, because I think you would need to have a very good think about it if you were to respond to it. You can offer a response, but I can almost guarantee you that your response won't convince me. But I'm going to say what I think the argument is.
Okay, go for it.
And it's stated as a formal logical argument. Premise 1. All material in the universe is affected by causative scientific laws that necessitate a certain outcome. So all material has atomic masses and it has all these kind of chemical things that have these effects. Premise 2, the human mind is the product of the brain, and the brain is made up entirely of material. Conclusion, the mind is affected entirely by scientific causes, and it's all beyond our control. I mean, it's not, the thing is, I mean, obviously you say things like that and people go, well, it's obviously in our control because we're in control.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It's a weird situation.
I'd say that the human brain is more than just material. I guess, yes, it is material, but it is, like I said before, at the start of this debate, it's an incredible thing that I don't think you can ever, calculate. Okay, go on, what were you going to say?
The interesting thing is that you're advocating for something called Cartesian dualism. Which, the Cartesian thing at the beginning is kind of pointless, but basically, dualism says that the mind is both matter and also something beyond matter. The funny thing is actually that it that idea that the mind is something beyond matter is, I think maybe you can imagine, an intensely spiritual idea.
Yes, it is spiritual, but I
and
don't consider it
yes,
spiritual.
yes. It's an interesting thing in a way because, of course, when I do find myself talking to atheists who don't believe or who do believe in free will, there's a weird situation where I end up saying that the mind is purely material and the whole world is governed by science and material, naturalistic causes, and the atheist ends up saying that there's something more kind of meaningful about the human mind and things like that, which I find kind of interesting. And of course, it doesn't make it wrong, but it's funny.
Yeah, no, it is. You're right. It is interesting, but I just say the things that the human mind can create, that can come up with. For example, like dreams that you have,
Yeah,
and when you are high or taking drugs, the things that the mind can make you see. It is really something incredible.
yes.
I think it's why the future cannot be predicted because the mind is so unpredictable. Slash, yeah, amazing.
As Stephen Hawking once said, we are the universe experiencing itself.
We are.
Rest in peace, Stephen Hawking.
Rest in peace, Stephen Hawking.
Interestingly, Kyle Affleck, who was a Catholic, although I don't think he was really a Catholic. I just think he said that.
Can't believe you said his last name.
Oh yeah, because of the other Kyles. Basically, he before he left uni to work in Lush.
You can't. Oh god. He said his name and now where he works.
Yeah, where he works. He's got to give a list of his fears, and
he likes bikes as well.
Yeah, he does. Before he left uni, he wanted to write a dissertation on how quantum indeterminacy allows for human free will. So there
Is that something I'm advocating for?
No. The idea that quantum indeterminacy proves free will is something I find very stupid, and that's why I wouldn't be surprised that Kyle wanted to write about it.
Okay, well, I don't know what it is, so
yeah,
if you say it's stupid, I'm glad I'm not advocating for it.
Yeah, you're advocating for the much more reasonable idea that, like, hey man, our minds are just complicated, dude.
Yeah,
anyway.
A much smarter argument. Yeah, so, okay, I think we've had a good debate then.
Yes, I
on
think
that topic.
It is an interesting debate, and I think one that a lot of people don't think about, and it's kind of an interesting.
Because there's no answer, so I can understand why people wouldn't think about it.
In fact, actually, returning back to obviously it is worth noting that it's one of those things where you can't really prove it because.
Just like God, which people never discuss.
Yes. Yeah. One of the classic things people say, by the way, is, well, hold a minute, how do you know that determinism is true when you were just determined to say that it's true? How do you know that you were determined to say it's true because it's true? Which is, one of those things that sounds clever, but actually it's very stupid.
Yeah.
The one thing that I do want to say, I guess you could say that this film maybe could have explored that idea more.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that in my conclusion.
Because there's nothing about it that really necessitated that discussion we just had.
Yes.
I guess you probably thought of the discussion because you remembered us discussing it previously.
Well, I thought of the discussion on the fact that the movie brings it up, and we kind of like to have these intellectual discussions on this podcast. Yes. I think we're more than a movie review podcast. We do discuss the deeper things. Yeah.
And join us next week where we'll be selecting and reflecting. What's something that sounds smart, Luke?
Oh, I thought you were going to do the opposite and say something that sounds stupid.
Okay, join us next week. We'll be selecting and reflecting. Is the Earth flat?
Oh, I thought you were going to say a film or a movie that was stupid. Like, one of those dumb, like Adam Sandler movies. After we're saying how intellectual we are.
The great thing about our show's name is that we don't have to just discuss films. We can select or reflect on anything.
Yeah, on anything. On anything. On the Los Angeles Lakers season thus far. We can select and reflect on that when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and that's why we're starting our new podcast, Select and Reflect in the Basket.
Oh god, yeah. Actually, you know what? We will be talking about the Los Angeles Lakers when we get to Daddy's Home. Because they are featured in that movie, so I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, I think we need to talk about the last kind of theme in this movie, which is the issue of mass surveillance, and whether governments should use mass surveillance to protect its
Oh.
citizens.
This isn't it. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you talk about it.
So you referenced 9/11 earlier in the movie,
Yes.
and I said, well, that's actually relevant to this movie, and this is why. 9/11 obviously happened on September what was it again? I can never
September.
remember the date of 9/11.
It was the 11th of November. No, the
Yeah.
9th of November.
Yeah, the 9th of November, that's it.
9th of the 11th.
That was a joke, by the way. And so this movie comes out on, when did it come out? I didn't actually say this at the beginning. June the 21st, 2002 in the United States. So how long is that? Like 9 months after 9/11. And obviously
Yeah.
by this time, I think the Patriot Act had been signed into law, which
Yeah.
some considered unconstitutional. Basically, it allowed the government to surveil the United States population like never before, gave them a lot of power to do that. And obviously, this is why I think this needs to be brought up, because the Patriot Act was in response to 9/11, although I think that certain people in Bush's government wanted to enact this sort of law well beyond 9/11, was just looking at an excuse to do so. But that's up for debate, I guess.
Yeah, well, 9/11 was an inside job.
It was an inside job. Let's not forget that.
That's what we'll be selecting and reflecting on the week after next.
That's a joke, by the way.
Is
as
the
well.
Earth is the Earth flat? Was 9/11 an inside job? And did the Holocaust
Yes.
happen?
So I'm just wondering. Obviously, this movie came out several months later. Maybe this is what people thought like reality was going to be like in 2054. I mean, maybe it still will, but I don't think it will be like that, because we just haven't.
What, you mean terrorist free?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't imagine people giving up their rights that easily. But maybe after 9/11, that was like kind of the thing. Oh, we're all going to be living like.
Well, hold on, Luke. Are
this
you a
is Minority
patriot or
Report.
not?
I'm a patriot, Michael. Yeah.
Good. So
Yeah.
so you support the law then, because the law is called the Patriot Act. And
That's a
means
good
if
point.
you don't support it, Luke, you're not a patriot.
You know what? I was going to disagree with the Patriot Act because I thought it was unconstitutional, but since they
But
called
yeah.
it the Patriot Act,
They
Can't argue with it.
they tried to introduce a law. I don't know if they actually successfully introduced it, but it would have been a law that allowed like mass surveillance of the internet, and it was called the Protecting Children Against Pornography Act. And it was like, because the argument was, well, children can go online and look at pornography, but when we have all this surveillance on the internet, we'll protect them from pornography. And then the problem is, like, it's like, if you vote against it, then it's like Congressman oh wait, I don't want to say your surname. Congressman Smith votes against the Protect Children from Pornography Act, and it doesn't look very good, does it, Luke?
Congressman, do you like to see kids get raped, Congressman? Yeah.
That's an off-topic question.
Yeah. So yeah, I get what you're saying with that. But yeah. I don't know. What do you think about this whole thing? Do you think I have a point?
I think you have a point about, well, the problem is, I mean, obviously, films are in production for a long time, so
Yeah.
you kind of don't know whether or not it was planned in such a way. One of the interesting things is that they originally had a trailer where Tom Cruise used his spiderweb making ability to trap a helicopter between the Twin Towers, but that advert was eventually pulled because of 9/11.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
Do you know about that whole thing with Spider-Man?
Spider-Man. Well, I could kind of guess.
Yeah, there was a trailer for Spider-Man where he trapped a helicopter between the Twin Towers, and I think it was actually a deleted scene from the film.
Yeah, I'd imagine it would be a deleted
Yeah,
scene.
we got rid of it because it was released in 2002.
Yeah, 9/11 fucked a lot of things up.
Yeah, damn 9/11.
We could have got a really great scene
Yeah.
in Spider-Man. Yeah. No, obviously, 3,000 lives lost. That's very sad. But yeah, I think.
But you'd still rather have your freedom than those 3,000 lives.
Yeah, I mean, what is the price of freedom, Michael? Freedom isn't free.
You know what, Luke? Here's truthishly, there's something that connects me, my dad, and my uncle, aka my dad's brother, which is that we're all surprisingly pro surveillance. Not entirely, but one of the things that I find is that, have you ever spoken to somebody called an anarchist, Luke?
No.
Okay, really? So I've spoken to anarchists, and
Well, because
one of
you're
the things-
always on Reddit, aren't you, having
Yeah.
these conversations?
and obviously when you're speaking to anarcho-capitalists, that's just a joke. But when you're speaking to actual anarchists, you kind of have more respect for them because at least they're trying something new. But one of the things that I do is I frequently bring up that one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to be an anarchist is because genuinely, unironically, terrorism. And one of the things that they always say to me is they say, "Oh, you're stupid for thinking that because terrorism, that's just like what people did after Bush. They got worried about terrorism and they sacrificed their freedom." But I do think that, for example, when we talk about like minor freedom, that there's an extent to which I do think that some privacy can be compromised to avoid. And I'm talking about things like, for example, if you Google search how to make a bomb, then maybe that stuff should be like, and like the thing is, I'm not saying like someone should be able to look at everything you've ever sent, but I think there's an extent to which we do need some surveillance because we live in a society
Yeah.
that has. So yeah, I mean the thing is like obviously, I guess I would say that I believe in evidence-based policy. So one of the things that I do hear from some people is that this internet surveillance is actually really ineffective at catching terrorists, and obviously that's a different question. So there's a question of is it effective, and there's a question of should it be allowed in principle. And I think the question of should it be allowed is more tied to the question of how effective it is. Like if I think you can put a price on small amounts of freedom. Like I'm not like the thing is obviously the problem I have is that there's the slippery slope argument to me. I just think it's we need to have the problem is with the slippery slope argument is you could start anywhere. So you could say, hold a minute, well, if the police are allowed to talk to people, then what if they're allowed to arrest people for nothing? You can start with the most basic thing and end up with tyranny.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think a balance is the key.
Yes.
It's the key to most issues, to be honest. Balance between freedom and also surveillance, and you shouldn't go too high one way or the other.
It's really funny actually because I have an idea for a sci-fi film, which is what I call I don't know what I actually called it. I think I called it an anti-dystopia, and the idea is
utopia
that,
then.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, this is how it works. So this guy gets transported into the future, and he finds out that the government is constantly watching everyone, and like everyone's being surveilled and things like that, and like certain speech is illegal. Like the thing is, the original reason I came up with it is because there are the people who say that if you get arrested, so there are people who post racist and fascist stuff on Twitter, and then they get arrested for posting racist fascist stuff on Twitter. Like somebody called, that guy who got cardiac arrest in football? I think his name was Mwamba, but it could have been
Fabrice Mwamba, yes.
Fabrice Mwamba, there we go. I do remember that. Someone basically posted on Twitter, haha, stupid, N-word, and he got arrested for that. And I think, good, fuck that guy. And the thing is, like, lots of people go, oh, well, if you arrest people for things like that, then you're the real fascist and stuff like that. And I always thought, like, wouldn't it be funny if these people got transported into the future and it was like, hey, it's illegal to be a racist, fascist, sexist, horrible person here. And they're like, oh, wow, so have you just descended into complete totalitarianism? And they're like, nope, we just don't have any racists. So I find the idea of, like, the people... I'm not a free speech absolutist. I don't know about you. But I'm one of those people who thinks there is such a thing as hate speech and it should be illegal.
I would disagree with that. I'm sorry. I think I'm maybe a free speech absolutist. I think
That's
I may be
fine.
that.
It's because you're a white man. I used to be a free speech absolutist. I think what changed my mind is I basically thought, well, if we never want these people to be able to introduce the ideas that they're spouting. Like, basically, the minute somebody says all this like racist, horrible stuff, we can basically agree that they're essentially worthless to a liberal, progressive society. I mean, yeah, like I say, it's one of those things.
Well, then are we progressive and liberal if we don't allow them to say their views?
That's the paradox of tolerance, is what it's called.
Paradox of tolerance.
Yeah. I think there's two ways you can. I do think that no matter what, the most we need some like education and stuff. Like I mean, ultimately the main reason why people are racist bigots is because of education, things like that. So we just gotta anyway. But yeah, the last thing I do find the long story short here is that I find the idea of censorship and surveillance to be interesting in that it can be effective. And I guess what I'll say is this: films like this do a really good job of showing how extreme surveillance is bad. I think it would be interesting if someone made a film where they showed how if you had absolute like The Purge, if you have anarchy, what happens? So obviously what we really need is a balance. And I think that I just don't like to imagine some edgy anarchist watching this film and being like, huh, see, the police stopped me to ask me if I'd seen a crime and that was a breach against my freedom.
Yeah. Okay.
Am I being detained?
Well,
excuse me, sir, am I being detained?
Yes, I guess you're right. Well, yeah, a balance is correct.
Such liberals.
Yeah, such liberals. We're always
Especially
right.
You're like, well, I think that Nazis should be able to say all their horrible things, but then so should Jews. I'm a liberal. That's my impression of you being a liberal.
It's a very good one as well.
Just how
Yeah.
your accent is.
So I think we should conclude
Yes, we should.
on the actual movie. So the thing is, we've been discussing for the last like 40 minutes or whatever a lot about how a lot of the themes that this movie presents. But the thing is, like you mentioned before, this movie doesn't really discuss them that much. It's kind of intelligent. It doesn't really delve deeply into these ideas of determinism and free will, or should if this kind of technology existed, should you be charged with a crime that you haven't committed? It goes into them a bit. Like you said, the Tom Cruise throwing that ball to Owen Farrell. Oh, sorry, Colin Farrell, not Owen Farrell. Colin Farrell. Yeah, so it's like that's why I say it's kind of intelligent. I mean, if it went into these issues more, I mean, it's an action movie at the same time. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's a long movie, so perhaps they couldn't go into these issues. It just wouldn't fit with the pacing of the film. But yeah, I think overall, it's more intelligent than your average action movie, which I can appreciate. It's interesting, and I do generally like mystery movies. And I think this one had a nice twist at the end of it. So you know what, Michael? I'm going to give this overall my rating 7.5 out of 10, which is interesting because
this is the descent into madness.
Yes,
I'm going to get to 7.6.
I'm doing I'm doing halves now. Give myself a wider range. I'm determined not to go into 7.6 and 7.7s. That is not going to happen. I promise you.
You can give it percentages. I'm giving this one a 75%.
75%. Yeah, there you go. How about you?
So I actually, again, you've pretty much done a really good job at preempting everything I would have to say. It's very tempting when you think about the themes that can be kind of read into this film to say that this film is a clever art film, like on the caliber of, say, Arrival. And I think Arrival is probably a kind of reasonable comparison. But then when you watch the film, you realize that actually the film itself doesn't really address these issues. So unless you have a podcast where you stretch to fill an up to 2-hour time slot talking about films, you aren't going to talk about these issues. So yeah, the film itself doesn't bring them up, and for that reason, I am placing this film, and I don't really have any reservations about placing it here. So it's one of those comfortable fits that we come across every now and then. I'm placing it between Manchester by the Sea and Dunkirk, meaning that it is worse than Manchester by the Sea. So
yeah, just like I said.
Manchester by the Sea, it's my number 8 slot. This is my number 9, and Dunkirk goes down to number 10.
Wow.
Stupid Christopher Nolan.
So sad for Dunkirk. Yeah, so there you go.
Still, at least it won loads of sound editing.
It did. Oh, this movie got nominated for sound editing, I believe, or editing. So yeah, two similar movies, Dunkirk and Minority Report. But yeah,
Yes.
I noticed we didn't actually talk about the characters in this movie.
I
We
was
normally do.
I was thinking about that. I thought about the fact that I had nothing really to say about the characters, and I
Yeah.
still. The thing about Tom Cruise, I did actually refer to the character as Tom Cruise once, when I was talking about the plot,
Yeah.
and that's because it is. I don't know. Have you ever seen Tom Cruise play a character?
Play a character.
Yeah, like play a character, like not just play Tom Cruise is what I mean.
Well, fuck, I don't know.
I'm
Like-
trying to. I have one. In Tropic Thunder. Have you seen? Tropic Thunder?
Yes, I have seen Tropic
Yeah.
Thunder. Me and
In Tropic-
Dylan watched it recently, actually.
Yeah, in Tropic Thunder, he's playing a character. There
Yeah,
we go.
he is. He's playing a
So
character.
if you want to see Tom Cruise actually play someone, then watch Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, what did I see? Yes. I saw A Few Good Men the other day.
Yeah.
And he in there is.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
not
that
very.
Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire. Yeah,
Jerry Maguire.
like a cocky kind of guy who's good at something. And yeah, that's his role. And yeah, there you go. Tom Cruise in this movie, his acting, meh. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, he did a perfectly good job at playing Tom Cruise.
He did. Good on him. So yeah.
And no one else really had much of an opportunity to do any acting. So
No. Yeah, it was a movie driven by the plot. And that's it. So yeah, that's Minority Report. It went quite a while, maybe longer than you expected, Michael.
yeah, well, actually, to be honest, I thought we were going to discuss the issues, but I didn't anticipate them taking as long as they did. I guess it's because I forgot you existed, so I just imagined it would be me monologuing.
Yeah. So there you go. This has been a review of Minority Report. We have selected and reflected on Minority Report, of course, because of Ready Player One.
Yes.
Yes. And thanks for watching. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
And I've been Luke.
And join us next week where we will be counting down to the. Oh, I think. Wait, let me just check that we are right about this because we planned this. Okay.
I think it's Iron Man.
I think it is too. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Join us next week where we will be counting down to the Infinity War, Disney's, Marvel's, the Avengers, Infinity War.
Part one. Yeah. Of two.
Of two.
Yeah.
By looking at Iron Man.
Where it all started. Think about it. Like the whole month of April, all Marvel movies.
All Marvel movies. That's marvelous. Oh, you know what? Actually, it would have made so much more sense if we did this in March.
Well, yeah, just because of that pun.
Because March.
But
March
even though the movie comes out April 27th, I think, so it wouldn't really have made that much sense at all.
Well, we could have done in Mayville.
Yeah.
What about? Oh wait! Oh my God.
Marpril.
You know what we could have almost done? Oh wait, we can do it! Holy crap, Luke!
Well.
This is insane. Okay.
Okay.
If my things do not fail me, this is a spoiler. In fact, actually, maybe I'm just going to cut this from the thing. Okay. 7th of December, Man of Steel. 14th of December, Batman vs Superman. 21st of December, Justice League. And I don't know if you have this, 28th of December, Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I do, but I don't think we can do that.
DC Ember.
Oh god.
Holy, that's incredible. And at work, it's like.
Wow, that is something to look forward to.
Did you want to do Suicide Squad instead of Wonder Woman?
I just didn't want to do Wonder Woman because there's going to be a Wonder Woman 2 coming out.
Oh, okay, yeah, we could do Suicide Squad.
There's not going to be a Suicide Squad 2 coming out.
What?
Unless DC wants to lose even more money.
Well, I think they do. You joke, but
I mean, they hired Zack Snyder, so maybe they do.
Yes. Anyway, I think we already said bye, so.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.